Hey guys, this is Mr. Mood. Today we're going to talk about functions. At the end of this lesson, you're going to be able to determine if a relationship is a function or not. So let's first talk about what is a function. A function has three parts. First, we have the input. The input is what we put into our machine. Usually that's going to be the x value in the relationship. Then you've got the rule, and the rule tells us what to do with that input value. And typically it's going to be represented by an equation. And then lastly, we've got the output, and that's what comes out of the machine. And this is going to be represented by the y value in the relationship. Now, a function itself has a very specific definition. A function has a unique output for every input. What that basically means is that every x value is paired with exactly one unique y value. I like to describe functions kind of like a soda machine. We've got our input values, or our x's, are the buttons of the machine. Our output values, or our y values, are like the drink that we get. I know that a soda machine is working if every time I press the same button on the machine, let's say for example the Coke button, I get that same drink. For example, let's say I take this machine, I press the Coke button, I get a Coke. The very next day, I press the Coke button again, I get a Coke again. As far as I know, every time I press that Coke button, I'm going to get that same drink. Therefore, this machine is a function. That's a good machine. A soda machine is not a function if every time I press the same button, we get different drinks. For example, let's say that on Monday, I pressed the Coke button, I got a Coke. On Wednesday, I pressed the Coke button again, but this time it gave me a Mountain Dew. So this machine doesn't work. I press the button, I don't get the drink that I should. This is not a function. Now let's take that same idea into relationships, into relations. And this relation is set up as a table. I know that my x values are my buttons, my y values are my drinks. I need to check and see, does each button give me one specific drink, or is it giving me multiple drinks? For example, I check the first button, -3. It's only paired with drink number 5. That's a good machine so far. I press button 1, I get drink 6. So far, so good. I press button 3, it only goes with drink number 9. I press button 6, it only goes with drink number 13. And button 8 only gives me drink 17. So every single button is paired with only one specific drink on this machine. Therefore, we say that this machine represents a function. So same deal, different machine. I've still got my buttons as the X, my drinks are the Y's. Now I check and see if every single button gives me the same exact drink. So I check the first button, that's button that says -4, it gives me drink -2. So far, so good. But then I check the same button again, gives me drink 8. So I pressed this button twice, and the first time it gave me one drink, the second time it gave me another. Therefore, no matter what happens with the rest of this machine is broken because that button is broken. And let's just double check the other buttons actually. So this machine, or this button here, -1 works. Button 3 also works. And button 7 also works. But because that one button was broken, this machine is broken and is not a function. Now we're going to talk about the vertical line test, which is a very specific way of figuring out if something's a function or not. The vertical line test works when we're given a graph. On a graph, a single vertical line represents a button on the soda machine. Each time that vertical line crosses our graph, we're getting a different drink from that button on the soda machine. So if the vertical line crosses the graph only once, then the soda machine works and we have a function. The flip side of that is, if the vertical line crosses twice, then we're getting 2 different drinks for the same button, and that machine is broken and is not a function. Let's look at an example. So as you can see, we've got this red line, kind of looks like a V on our graph. We're going to check and see if this machine that we're given works or doesn't work. And I'm going to do that by drawing vertical lines. So this is my first button. It only crosses once. That button's good. Button 2 only crosses once. 3 only crosses once. 4 only crosses once. 5, still good. 6, good. 7, good. So every single button on this machine gave us exactly one drink. I know that because the vertical line that I drew, the dashed line, only crossed our red line on each one just once. So this machine is a function. Now let's take a look at this machine. So I check, this button works, gives me one drink. Same thing here. Same thing on this one, exactly one drink. Still good. But then I get to this button, and as I can see, I've got 2 dots on that dashed blue line. Therefore, this button's broken, the entire machine is broken. This would not be a function. So let's wrap this up. A function is a soda machine that works correctly. We get the same drink every time we press the same button, meaning that every X value, every input, is paired with exactly one Y value or output. If we have a graph, we can test that by drawing a vertical line, one line for each button. If that vertical line crosses our graph more than once, that means the machine is broken and is not a function. If the line crosses exactly once, then our machine works. It's a function.
That's all, folks.